So the biggest sorcerer battle in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga is going down. It's pretty much just as awesome and as raw as you'd expect from Gege's fights. And I think it has the potential, or really should be, one of the best and most iconic fights in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo vs Sukuna is one of the all-time most debated and heated subjects within the JJK community. And I'm pretty sure Gege knows just full well how heated this battle is. So far, I think in the stage that we are in now, there is a lot of details about their fighting styles and their techniques and abilities that will probably have callbacks during this fight. Just for example, we should know how Sukuna survived a 200% hollow purple. Why is Gojo manually using Limitless? And is Sukuna using domain amplification? Of course, Gege isn't obligated to give reasons for these sort of things, but it'd certainly be nice knowing what Sukuna and Gojo are doing is more beyond just the reason that they are Gojo and Sukuna. Because you can just expect them to be that raw and powerful like that. Just keeping it real, there's definitely a crazy high standard that we set for these two, but there definitely should be some callbacks explaining different aspects of the power system and how they're taking advantage of it in this battle. Today's video, I'll mainly be talking about Ryomen Sukuna's performance in this fight and some predictions for him in chapter 225 and on, cause you know, I think I don't really talk enough about Sukuna on this channel. This is the strongest sorcerer in history with abilities, cursed weapons, and cursed techniques that we cannot even imagine. We only scratched the surface and we're here 224 chapters in. My man is still using dismantle and cleave like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's his bread and butter. But now Sukuna just has so much more stacked and stacked and stacked on top of him. It's just getting to the point where just how much is Gege going to buff Sukuna? This dude is so broken it should just be banned. Sukuna has now gained Megami's body and inherited his curse technique with 10 sacred treasures. So now there is a whole nother and different aspect to his abilities and his curse technique, and there is a limitless amount of possibilities as far as his powers can go. And I know it's like enemy stand user, of course Sukuna's broken, it's obvious, but Sukuna is just too damn much. It could be that Gege had to give Sukuna that specific buff with 10 shadows to compete with Gojo, but I honestly think Gege was just trying to make him just as overkill as possible to give Gojo the fight of his life. Sukuna is now at 20 fingers, not 19 because he replaced the last finger with his mummified corpse, so as far as we know he is now at full strength. Sukuna has his shrine technique including dismantle and cleave and whatever comes along with that like his flame ability and other unknown abilities. Sukuna has the 10 shadows technique including 10 buff Shikigami, way better than Megami's, plus Maharaga, plus the Dharma chakra to adapt to anything, and on top of everything he has his own insane physical ability along with absolute mastery of his open domain expansion with the possibility of using Megami's domain expansion as well. With chapter 223 and 224, it's making Gojo look really good. Like imagine calling Gojo a fish, then proceeding to get thrown on your own ass and shuffling around on the floor trying not to get stomped. Like yeah, you kinda do look like the challenger here, but for real though, nothing changed. Both fighters are still relative, they're still powerful, and they probably recognize each other's strength. Yet I feel chapter 225 or later on will be when Sukuna actually reveals his curse technique and possibly a situation involving his true form and his abilities. I think we all expect there to be a point where Sukuna unleashes his true curse-like form with that four-armed two-faced demonic entity through either the battle itself or in a flashback explaining his curse technique just to see it in action. I really enjoy the fake weeb's theory on how his true form had his tattoo marks unsealed, giving Sukuna unique powers and curse tools. That could grant Sukuna those ascended and godlike abilities like fire and lightning or other attributes from those tattoo marks. And of course his dismantle and cleave ability is still extremely strong too, as we have yet to see what the actual adjusted cleave cannot cut. Sukuna's curse technique reveal is going to be so crazy. there are a lot of ties to his shrine technique to something like even a kitchen, and Sukuna can't even go one fight without at least mentioning a cooking reference. So someone definitely cooked here. Sukuna's curse technique could also be inspired by a one-shot manga that Gege wrote called Number 9, where the main character stores weapons in a box and accesses them by chanting open/fuga. Sukuna uses the same chant against Jogo and Mahoraga in Shibuya to access his fire arrow. Sukuna may store cursed tools in this same manner. It was said that the bath/kodoku ritual was a process in which some sacred heirlooms and cursed tools were actually made. We still do not know really how cursed tools are all made, like the process in which they are created, but Sukuna's weapons are a bit different. The fanbook said that there is a special category of cursed tools marked as divine instruments, or Shingu. Among these, we know that Miguel's rope, which disrupts curse techniques, and Mahoraga's sword of extermination, which is enveloped in positive cursed energy for killing curses, they are both considered divine instruments. So I think Sukuna's cursed tools are in this same category as well. So when Sukuna chants open, Sukuna could be accessing the characteristics of the cursed tools stored inside his demonic feretory by opening it, like accessing a box for storage. The Mizushi writing in Sukuna's curse technique name, or what Yorozu refers to it as shrine, has multiple meanings. It could mean like the kitchen epithet that I mentioned earlier, but if you were to look at it like a box to open, then the Zushi in Mizushi is like a miniature Buddhist shrine with these little doors on it in the compartment. And this is what's called a feretory, which is an area or a compartment in a holy place like a church, temple, or a shrine where divine relics are stored. I got this idea, of course, from the Jujutsu Kaisen wiki and from Lightning446 on Twitter, and I'll link all the sources below if anyone's interested in that. But I think it makes so much more sense given all the references and ties throughout the story. I'd personally be very surprised if this didn't at least have something to do with the curse technique, as it all lines up. Moving on though, as if shrine wasn't already enough, the fanbook makes it seem ridiculously OP considering just very few can even fight the technique even for a moment. But of course we know Sukuna has a lineup of 10 enhanced Shikigami with the 10 sacred treasures technique, and they will all prove somewhat useful in this fight with Gojo. Just as a baseline, there are an insane amount of combos and potential for even just the first 8 Shikigami plus the shrine technique. Then you can add on that there is actually a 9th unknown Shikigami and Mahoraga. And these are all very helpful to be a high level Shikigami user considering just how tough Sukuna already is. We may actually get confirmation on how differing techniques are used in conjunction, or if they have a certain cooldown, or what are the limits of these two techniques, or even if totality can be used in 10 Shadows, or if it's going to be used again to create a new and powerful chimera, like say using totality with Mahoraga. And probably the most useful tool Sukuna has at his disposal is the Dharma Chakra wheel that he got from Furu's incantation, which we've seen Sukuna can use the wheel on himself to adapt to any and all phenomena. And this is more than likely a tool to help him adapt or contend with Gojo's Limitless given its actual history. That aspect of his power is actually just a bit too overkill, because if you consider all these powers in perspective, I for one, right now I'm imagining a 20-finger Sukuna using 10 shadows, using all his shrine techniques, the flames, the dismantle and cleave, the thunder arrow, the fire arrow, plus using the Dharma Chakra wheel and God knows what else. That is a lot. Gojo has to be the most him character of all time if he beats that, because Gege gave Sukuna everything to beat Gojo. There's at least 3 different ways that I'm thinking of right now that Sukuna could use to bypass Limitless. Sukuna could use domain amplification to neutralize Infinity, Sukuna could adapt to Infinity using the Dharma Chakra wheel, and Sukuna could use potentially a domain expansion to reach Gojo. There are some very obscure ways like using positive cursed energy and the Deer Shikigami, but we just need to see how that plays out first. But really that's already just 3 too many in my opinion. But it's not so cut and dry when fighting Gojo Satoru. There's multiple factors to consider in all of that. Again, Gojo really is that guy going toe to toe against an opponent that has to counter him and counter his abilities, and Sukuna has the means to do so. That in itself is very impressive, but we'll have to see how this goes. And there is a narrative aspect to this fight as well that does influence, how we see it going as fans. I really freaking enjoy Gojo. I am a Gojo fan. I enjoy how strong his presence is in the series of Jujutsu Kaisen, his character, his power, but there is an opportunity here for Gojo to lose. Of course, he could win. Either way, it probably won't be easy, and the battle should be extremely close, but I just wonder, how much better would the story be if Sukuna lost, really? Because Sukuna losing in the end is great. By all means, please do not let Sukuna have the last laugh in the end. But I would prefer Sukuna to have a bit more time in the series before he's eradicated. Preferably eradicated by Yuji, but that's just what I'd like. And that would only happen after Sukuna fights Gojo. Because if Gojo wins and Sukuna is vanquished, there are just a couple of foreseeable plot points where his power is relevant and being used. Like maybe against Kenjaku, which against Kenjaku individually isn't necessarily a fight. I mean, I guess it could be kind of romantic.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know, it could conclude their relationship or Geto Suguru's character in some way, or Gojo could confront Kenjaku's merger creation, whatever that may be, which would be interesting. Gege can cook whatever he likes as long as it's peak, and I just wanted to say my piece here. Gojo still has to be here to tell Megumi about Toji and his father and possibly close with Megumi's character, but really anything can happen. Today's video, I just wanted to discuss a little bit about Sukuna and just how relevant his power will be in this fight. I didn't dive too deep into it because obviously more info will be revealed as the new chapters come out, and there's a lot that I just cannot fit into this one video. Next time, I'll be making a vid on Kenjaku and Tengen with the merger plot during the end of the series, so look out for that this week. Remember to comment on your thoughts and to like and sub for more awesome content like this. You brothers and sisters take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.